Episode number 40, the ATM podcast. Apologise to me. My name is Martin Devlin from the platform, and with me, Mark Watto Watson. We're talking Leicester is off to France. It's been made official. Ange Postecoglou sweepstake is on. How long is this guy going to last in the Spurs job? Say it out loud, Watto. Shaun Johnson is the money. Tomorrow night, you've got to choose one game. It's either the Blues at Eden Park or it's the Wah-Wahs in Canberra. Should Dylan Brown be stood down? And if we get enough time, we'll talk about Leo Messi going to Inter Miami as well.
Apologise to me!
Irish Leicester Fainga'anuku, all the very best. We're going to lose a few, Mark, and amongst all of those that have stayed and signed on, including through to the next World Cup, there's going to be the odd player that gets up and goes for whatever reason. Should we be panicked? Should New Zealand Rugby be worried?
No, I think we should be disappointed. I mean, Leicester Fainga'anuku, I think, is arguably having his best season. I think he's been the real star for the Crusaders. You know, I do a lot of analysis with Justin Marshall, and, you know, one thing that's been noticeable has been he's clearly worked on that just change in speed and that acceleration. He can also play in the midfield. So, look, I think he is a loss. 23 years of age. My issue is the managers, the player agents in the background. How much discussion is actually had with these guys around legacy and whether you actually want to make a living beyond your career. And I think sometimes when you stay here, you establish yourself in the All Blacks, the phone will ring for the rest of your life if you're smart about it. And when you go overseas, yes, you end up taking up a lot of money, but you're still going to earn really good money here as an All Black. So how big does your house need to be? Admittedly, he is only 23, so there is a chance to come back, and maybe he comes back an even better player. But yeah, I'd love to know what the motivation is. Clearly, New Zealand Rugby and Crusaders did everything they could to try and keep him there, but he decided he needed to go. And maybe he does want to go and see the world. Maybe it's for those reasons. But look, you know, we've got plenty of wingers, haven't we? It's an area that we've never, ever been short on. You've only got to have a look around when you look at guys like Nareki, Narewa. You know, you've still got Shaun Stevenson sitting there.
Alex Talia.
You've got Will Jordan.
Mark Talia, sorry,
I'm sorry. You've got Caleb Clark. You've got Talia. And, you know, there will be that next guy coming through next year and in 2 years' time. So I'm not sure that it's a position that we should be overly concerned about. But, yeah, I do just, as I said, Martin, your belief system, I say this regularly, you know what it's like, Martin. Your belief system in your 20s is very different to your belief systems when you're in your 30s. And it's even greater to your belief systems when you sort of get into your 40s and 50s. And I just hope these guys, when they do get to 50, don't look back and regret the decision they made. Yes, admittedly, they've probably set themselves up, but let's be honest, if you can't set yourself up with the money you still earn as an All Black, there is something wrong with you. And I still think that his market value would be even greater if he further established himself in the All Black jersey over the next 2 to 3 years. And clearly a big part of Scott Robertson's plans.
Do you still select him for the World Cup squad? The answer to this is yes. I won't even entertain a no. Pragmatic Foster has if he wants to pick him, and I think he is a perfect cover player. Whether he's a first team starter or not, I don't know, but he's an absolutely perfect cover player on the bench to cover all of those positions because, as you say, he can play 2 or 3 of them. I would take him to France on form, no question about it.
Oh, look, we've got to take the best team to France. We've got to win a World Cup. As we've said, we put all our eggs in the World Cup basket. No time for politics now. If we don't win it, we know what that means to New Zealand rugby and the further detriment of the game. Look, if it comes down to Shaun Stevenson versus a Leicester Fainga'anuku, and they're looking mainly predominantly on the wing, then I'm Shaun Stevenson every day of the week because I think Shaun Stevenson's been even better. And clearly, if it is that, you are going, you know, if there's nothing in it, they are going to look at who is going to commit long-term to New Zealand rugby. I think that's just the way it is. Look, I actually think one of the more bigger concerns about a player leaving is actually Alex Nankivell from the Chiefs. Centre is still an area where I think we could come undone in the long term. When you do look around, you can't necessarily rely on Jack Goodyear. I'm not sure you can rely. I think Anton Leonard-Brown's more of a second 5'8". I'm still not convinced on Rieko Ioane. And Alex Nankivell, since he's come back from injury, there's a real Conrad Smith look about him. Yes, he maybe doesn't have 100,000 Facebook followers or Instagram followers, and perhaps he hasn't been on the cover of Women's Day. But for me, that's probably a bigger concern. But yeah, going back to your question, if the squad allows for it and there is room for Stevenson and there is room for Leicester Fainga'anuku, or Mark Talios to get injured, absolutely. You need to take your best team this year. Forget what they're doing next year.
Apologise to me!
Shaun Johnson, I'm going to bump SJ up the order here because I just want to hear it out loud, and I want everyone who's listening to just to pause for a second, because this is, very few times in your life a lightning bolt comes out of the sky and strikes a person while they are speaking. Mark Watson is about to say that I was wrong. This is your words about Shaun Johnson. You're about to say, Mark Watson, I am wrong about Shaun Johnson. He is playing his best league this year, and I need to eat humble pie. Floor is yours.
Firstly, I'm never a coward wise after the fact. So I'm not one of these people who will come out and say nothing and then someone says to me, I told you so, or one of those people. Look, you base your judgments on form. You base your judgments over a decade. And Shaun Johnson has been anything but his best. He's been a flawed genius. He's been a prima donna. Look, I was on a radio show the other night and I said exactly that. I said, look, congratulations to Shaun. Well done to him. He has surprised me. He has surpassed my expectations of him, and he's arguably playing the best league of his life. And congratulations to him. Well done to him. I mean, Martin, you know the game we're in. Sometimes you back yourself into a corner, very hard to get out of it.
Yeah,
but I think I was allowed to come into this season with a real air of caution around Shaun. There's always been a lot of talk. I think the Warriors have actually impressed me as much as Shaun Johnson has. So look, I love you, Shaun. I love the Warriors, and
he doesn't want you to love him. That's the last thing he wants in his life. He doesn't want you hanging around outside his house, mate. Leave him alone.
I'm already outside loitering, mate. I shaved my legs this morning. Got my pom poms here. I've left a little spot for you, Martin. But no, look, no. In all seriousness, no. Well done to Shaun. I mean, good luck to him. Look, I've never had a problem with Shaun Johnson, the person, the husband, now to be father. But I think he's been one of those players that probably, you spend that sort of money, you want a franchise player. You want that guy that's going to take you to the promised land. And he's never quite done that. But boy, what a remarkable way to book into your career if he can come full circle, if he can live up to that. And he will endear himself. And, it's up to Shaun. You don't want to sort of be like that Kevin Iro, do you? We know how good Kevin Iro was in certain parts of his game, but he's also fundamentally flawed in his others. And I think Shaun this season and next season's got a real opportunity to sort of put to bed any of those negative stereotypes that I think have followed him over the last 5 or 6 years.
Apologise to me!
Ange Postecoglou, what has more chance of happening here, Watto? Spurs win the English Premier League next year, or he lasts the whole season?
Well, it's going to come down to Daniel Levy, isn't it? The chairman of Spurs, one of the major shareholders in it. And you talk to Spurs fans and you talk to people like Guy McRae, who you have regularly on your program. Yep. And they'll argue this has nothing to do with the coaching. This has nothing to do with the players. This has all got to do with Daniel Levy, who's just been there too long. Seems to chop and change. A lot of people believe he is the real problem here. Really, it's going to come down to what their goals are, how much room they're supposed to give him. One thing with Ange Postecoglou, when you do read about him, is that he's very, very good with the young players, makes players feel bulletproof, but he's going to need time. So Spurs fans,
that's the key, mate.
I think, have got to say, hey, we don't have an expectation this season, but what we do want is we want some continuity.
Yeah, but I mean, you've just contradicted yourself there, dude. Mate, you have, because look, this is a no-time league. It's like the NFL. It's results-driven, and it has to be now. There's a sweepstake running amongst all the sports journos in England at the moment. Tom Rennie was on. He says December the 28th, he's going to be gone by Christmas. That's what I fear with this guy. Yeah, he'll get a big payout, but do they have the patience, mate? Because this isn't a patient league.
Well, they're going to have to be patient. I mean, it doesn't matter. They can be as urgent as they want. They're not going to beat Manchester City next year. They're not probably going to get past Liverpool, Manchester United or Newcastle. I just don't think they've still got the players to do that. So they've got to have to rebuild. They're going to have to be patient. Maybe they target one of the smaller trophies. It's unrealistic to somehow come in there and expect you're going to pick up one of the 3 trophies when you look at the teams that are above you based on what you did last season. I don't think they have a choice. I mean, they're long-suffering fans, aren't they, Spurs? They've got no real expectation from this team. I think they want Levy gone. I think they want some continuity. But it's interesting, isn't it? Why would you take Postecoglou? Okay, he's done well with Celtic, but anyone could coach Celtic. There's only 2 teams. It's not that difficult to win the treble. I mean, we look at what Steven Gerrard did with Rangers.
Yeah, unbeaten season.
Steven Gerrard would develop really nicely as a manager, and clearly he has such a high expectation.
And how long did he last in Aston Villa? How long did he last, mate?
He didn't.
He didn't. And so he lasted a dozen games.
I think actually Ange Postecoglou, I just don't think he's qualified to coach Spurs. Yes, it's all very well doing the A-League, it's all very well doing the Australian thing, but it's not the English Premier League. It's not one of the biggest clubs in the world. But good luck to him. It's a great story for him because, you know, there was a period there where he was actually ostracised from Australian football. So it's a great story from Ange Postecoglou. How long? Look, if it's not a long-term plan, if they're not prepared to be patient with them, I give them 10 weeks.
Apologise to me!
Mark Watson, and this is the ATM podcast. We've got 2 to go. The Blues are playing tomorrow night against the Waratahs. The Wah-Wahs are away at Canberra. Blues kick off at 7, Wahs at 8. What are you watching? Dylan Brown, should he be stood down? Now, Mark, I've got a couple of thoughts on this. One, unfortunately for Dylan Brown from the Eels, charged with sexual touching, groping, 5 separate counts. Okay, so this is how it works. Something has gone on in that pub. A woman has complained. The police have been called. They have come along. If it's a he said, she said, they probably wouldn't put you in cuffs and arrest you. They would probably try and sort it out at the time. So maybe they've got witnesses, we don't know. But he's also wearing decades of some of the most vile treatment of women by rugby league buffheads and meatheads and dickheads. And so he gets tagged with that. I just wonder with this guy, mate, whether or not he should actually, if he is innocent, if he didn't do anything, to stand up publicly and say that and say, hey, listen, I'm not going to say much here, but I'll tell you this. I'll have my day in court. I'm going to walk. I'm going to get cleared. This is really upsetting for me. I didn't do anything. And, you know, until he says that, he is marked and he is guilty. And I know that's not right, but that's just the way the perception is. And so I don't think the Eels should be playing him.
Yeah, no, I don't think the NRL should be playing him. I don't think the Parramatta Eels should be playing him. Look, you know, as I keep saying, this is a league. This is a competition that markets itself around a sort of certain set of values. A lot of their sponsorship comes in because corporates believe the values that the NRL hold dear, the story that they're trying to tell, has a synergy with what we as a business are trying to tell, and therefore that's part of the reason they decide that's where they want to spend their money. That's how they want to market themselves. That's how they want to leverage their businesses. And so when athletes step out of line and do this sort of dumb stuff, it puts the whole organisation into a high level of disrepute. It potentially threatens the financial stability of the club as well as the NRL as a whole. But look, it's just another NRL story, isn't it? The bigger issue for me here is what the hell are these players? I know they had the bye week, but why are they out in the pubs on a Saturday night? Why are they out so late? Why do they feel somehow that they can be professional athletes and this behaviour still goes on? You know, you go to these clubs and they've got their heat chambers and they've got their altitude facilities, they've got their nutritionists, they've got people telling them how to save their money, and you know it all looks great on a PowerPoint presentation, yet they just can't get the simple message through about just don't be a buffhead. Don't get in your car on a Saturday night. Don't go to the pub with your mates. You know, Parramatta, yeah, they've been playing well, but they haven't been winning all of their games. Now, if he's doing it, what are the rest of the team doing? Alcohol, high performance, they don't mix, and it's still a mentality that for someone like me who comes from an individual sports endurance background, I just get so frustrated when I hear this word professional. No, professionalism, Martin, is a state of mind, and these guys need to learn that. And it's going to continue as long as these clubs allow these athletes to go, oh, they just need to blow off a bit of steam, or they just need to make sure that they can step away from the game and all of this nonsense and all of this rubbish. I mean, they shouldn't be out doing it. I've got zero sympathy for these guys. I've got zero sympathy for the NRL because it continually happens. You know, we've had dumb stuff with the Warriors. Hopefully that's changed, and I think we've seen the results of it because, you know, it is. It's as I said, professionalism is a state of mind, Martin.
Apologise to me!
Finally, let's talk about tomorrow night. You've got 2 big games on. Blues at Eden Park hosting the Waratahs. The problem with this is, like all 4 Super Rugby quarterfinals, you kind of feel like you know the result. I'm going to go to the pub tomorrow and watch. And just as much as I'm interested, it's also just an interesting sports case study for myself, because I bet that the Warriors are going to be on most of those screens and that most of the people turning up to watch are going to be there for the Warriors. It's a changing of the guard, mate. I've seen it, you know, several weekends I've gone to the pub to watch, and I've timed it so that I'm watching Warriors games and there's Super Rugby games on and the screens are all on the Warriors, and that's who people come to see. Who are you going to be watching?
Well, first, if you see the Parramatta boys in the pub, tell them to go home. or any NRL professional league player. There must be some reason to be in there. Oh, look, it's a fascinating one, isn't it? Because of the nature of what I'm doing at the moment on SENS, I probably need to be across the Super Rugby a little bit more than the NRL, particularly now that it's playoff time. But I know how this is going to play out like you, Martin. I'm going to get excited 20 minutes into the game. It's going to follow a similar storyline that we've seen from every other week. The Blues are going to win this game, and they're probably going to win it comfortably. And you're right, the NRL game against the Raiders in Canberra, you know that there's a high level of uncertainty. You're not sure which way this one is going to go. And when you look at the league at the moment, every game is important. And you're right. I mean, I don't think we need to try and convince people that rugby league's taken over. It has taken over. The NRL is a far superior product than that of Super Rugby. Is it a better product at the moment than, say, watching the All Blacks in a test match? No. But you also feel that the NRL is still continually on an upward chart in regards to interest in rugby. Well, at All Black level, I think is even starting to wane a little bit. So maybe it's only a matter of time before NRL even surpasses what the All Blacks are doing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're unsure, you want to ride the edge of emotion. You want that adrenaline rush. You want to feel all the emotions. You're going to watch the Warriors over the Canberra Raiders every day of the week. For me, I mean, guess watching the Blues, it's more about momentum. Can they click? Can they play that game that they haven't played this year so that when they end up playing the Crusaders next weekend, because we know the Crusaders are going to get past the Fijian draw, will they actually have the ability to finally beat the Crusaders? So, yeah, look, me personally, I'll probably be watching the Blues game, but that's more from a work point of view. But yeah, I agree with you. I think 80% of people will be watching, particularly a younger audience will be watching the NRL. And as I say, New Zealand Rugby will be sitting there going, yeah, but we got 15,000 people at Eden Park. It's not a cemetery with chips. It's not a cemetery with chips. And look at the high level of engagement on social media. And meanwhile,
patting themselves on the back, from the swill, mate. Watching in the corporate box. This is the thing. I mean, do they ever actually get their designer boots dirty and stand on the grass and go and watch rugby? I mean, it's a different experience when you're getting feted and fettered and your Uber's paid for, your hotel room's paid for, your food and alcohol bills paid for. We got time at the end. I wanted to finish on this. Leo Messi, and I thought this was great news this morning. I mean, it means nothing to me, but the fact that somebody's turned down the Saudi money, I like that. Apparently he was offered $500 million. If you've been offered $500 million and you turn it down under any set of circumstances whatsoever, it's probably for one reason, that you've already got another $500 million in the bank. Tiger turned it down for the Live Golf because he's so rich anyway. But the fact that Messi's prepared to go to Inter Miami, look, the MLS isn't a world league in the same way that La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, the Premier League, the Champions League, all of these are. But it is legit. I mean, it's well supported in the US. It's never going to be the same as baseball or hockey. We know that. He's getting, a huge financial deal. He's going to get shares in the thing. He's going to get all kinds of other payments and things. But I'm just pleased that not every single athlete in the world has decided that they are going to go to Saudi and to take the blood money, because goodbye, Ronaldo. No one's talking about you no more, Cristiano. I mean, you're rich as hell. You're a fantastic player. You broke all the records. But Leo Messi won a World Cup for Argentina. You won a European Championship. He won a World Cup. N'Golo Kante's going there. Benzema's going there. I don't care who goes there. Are you going to watch the Saudi League? And do you actually applaud Messi for this decision?
Yeah, look, no, well done to him. I'm really pleased. I think David Beckham's done a hell of a job in terms of actually luring him into Miami, because they've been pretty woeful. Is it their first season or second season? And so, look, he is a big name in the United States. It is the largest economy in the world for Messi. Here is an opportunity now to commercially just grow his business, to grow his wealth, to take opportunities. So it's not about a short-term cash grab. He's looking at the bigger picture. He'll earn $500 million over the next 10, 15 years, simply by what he does in the United States over the next 2 to 3. But there'll be a lot more interest in Major League, won't they? I mean, people will turn up to see Messi. There will be sellouts because people will want to see this. No different than when Pelé went to the New York Cosmos in the 1970s. And it is great for Major League. It's a great coup for them. He is the biggest name in football, the biggest name since Diego Maradona. He's still playing incredibly well. And as you mentioned, some of the little side deals that have been done from a business point of view, he is a smart guy. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, often advised, he said, don't take the money, get shares. And we know the rest is history when it comes to Michael Jordan and Nike. So, yeah, look, and you're right. I mean, how much money do you need, Martin? I mean, you've got hundreds and hundreds of $1 million already. I don't know about you. I mean, every house I've lived in, Martin, I've only ever really spent time in my bedroom, my kitchen, a bathroom, and maybe the lounge. I mean, there's always been a couple of extra bedrooms there for the kids, but I've never really been into any of the other rooms in the houses I've had, and I'm just not sure how big your house needs to be, Martin.
Devlin.
Tomorrow! And Queen's Park Rangers have won it!
The Platform.